cares about you, so please remember to sanitize your hands before and after use of any of our e-banking devices. That's Africanacity. That's APSA.
Now, being successful during tough times is a big deal. Buying a car is another big deal. But buying a brand new car at a heavily discounted price at this time of the year is a big deal. Premium Motors Limited, sole authorized partner of Renault in Ghana, presents the Renault Big Deal, introducing heavy discounts on your favorite Renault Kwid, Duster, Megane, and Kadjar for you to commemorate Renault's global launch of their new emblem. So the Renault Kwid is discounted from $11,000 to $9,200. The Duster from $21,500 to a cool $18,500. The Megane premium sedan is down from $25,500 to $22,500, and the Renault Kadjar, which is an SUV, is down from $35,500 to $31,500. With good fuel consumption and exciting safety and entertainment features, the Kwid, Duster, Megane, and Kadjar are just what you need. Rush now to the Renault showroom at Atiko Junction on the Kaneshi Odoko Road or call 055 958 6412 for more details. Offers are valid until the 10th of June 2021. Terms and conditions apply. Renault, passion for life.
Well, a simple activity like choosing to brush with Pepsodent Herbal Toothpaste can go a long way to boost your oral health. Now, that is why your favorite oral care brand Pepsodent is introducing the all-new Pepsodent Herbal, available in 140-gram pack. Pepsodent Herbal, with its amazing natural formula, gives you and your family strong teeth, gums, and an all-round cavity protection. Yeah, you heard right. Now, the carefully selected natural ingredients like green tea herbal extract and other herbals are uniquely formulated to release inner heat, repair and protect gum tissues, and give an all-round cooling sensation. So don't be left out. Choose the new Pepsodent Herbal Toothpaste for strong teeth and healthy gums.
All right, well, it's time for Corruption Watch. Okay, now in this moment of despair and dissatisfaction about the state of governance of this country, perhaps I shouldn't be telling you that the public institutions are refusing to honor citizens' requests for information, but, well, more than half of the time, 54% of the time, public institutions involved refused access, as they never communicated back to applicants many months after those applications were made. This is according to a research report on 1 year of implementation of the Right to Information Act, which is Act 989, here in Ghana. Yeah, you heard me. However, there is some good news coming through. Okay, this is because in the past week, the presidency has set aside funds outside of the RTI Commission's budget for the office accommodation of the Right to Information Commission. That's good. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it is.
Now, we've got more details coming up. I'll also tell you who we have on the show. But first, Corruption Watch is sponsored by Danida in collaboration with our partners Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, GACC, the Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, ASILA, and multimedia platforms Joy FM and Adom FM. Okay, so you can find us all over social media. On Facebook, we are Corruption Watch Ghana. On Twitter, it's Corruption Watch or at CW Ghana. On Instagram, it's Corruption Watch _GH. On YouTube, it's Corruption Watch Ghana. On our website, of course, we are corruptionwatchghana.org. Here's the number to call if you need to. It's 055 22 000 33. Okay? Same WhatsApp number as well. 055 22 000 33. The hashtag, as always, Wanamoni and Ghana Abre. So, Corruption Watch normally has 6 segments. Okay, on this episode, we're going to feature one segment called Anti-Corruption School, where we normally stage debates or serve civic education and panel resource persons to share their knowledge of anti-corruption cases and issues that we feature on Corruption Watch in order to deepen our understanding of these issues. Now, this morning, our distinguished guests are Mrs. Elizabeth Asare. She's the Deputy Chairperson of the Right to Information Commission. She's here with Mr. Yao Sapong Boating, who is the Executive Secretary of the Right to Information Commission. Joining us over the phone is Mr. Zakaria Tanko Musa, who is a private legal practitioner. He's a lecturer, and he's a member of the Right to Information Coalition here in Ghana. Now, today we're focusing on the implementation of the Right to Information Act, which is Act 989. Now, a DW Academy-owned research report released in March reveals that since the implementation of the RTI law took effect in January 2020, 1 out of every 2 requests for information was refused, as the public institution involved never communicated back to applicants many months after those applications were made. That's according to the report. Now, researchers Obing, Anson Boating, and Futukbo presented a broader picture as follows. This research shows a 68% chance that one's request for information under RTI will be denied. Let that sink in. There is a 68% chance that when you request information under RTI, it will be denied, according to this report. Well, Winston and I are going to spend a few minutes bringing you more details from the report, and then we will tell you how the RTI Commission has been responding after the release of the DW Academy report on 1 year of implementation of the Right to Information Act, Act 989, in Ghana. Winston?
Right, so the Right to Information Act 2019, that's Act 989, provides for the right of access to information, spelling out clearly the responsibilities of government to provide information and the responsibilities of public institutions in respect of access to information. It also spells out the categories of information that are exempt from access and makes for a harm's test provision in the public interest. The Act defines systematic procedures for access to information and details how applications should be made, persons to deal with applications, and steps to be taken when the information requested exists in other public institutions or are non-existent. The law also indicates that what to do when information requested has already been made public or is in the process of being made public, and the timelines within which decisions on applications must be made. Therefore, the researchers conducted the study to measure the experiences of respondents who have requested information from a public institution under the RTI law, seeking to establish conformity with the law. And you know what? According to the report, of the 24 respondents engaged, 6 had never requested information under the RTI law, while the remaining 18 had made 28 requests for information under the RTI Act in its first year of implementation. Now, these respondents had requested information at least once, or in some instances had made requests to as many as 5 public institutions, the researchers stated. And according to the findings, only 9 applications for information were granted, representing 32%. Only 9 applications for information were granted, and that represents 32%. And this is why the researchers say that their work shows a 68% chance that one's request for information under the Right to Information law will be denied. The report further states that although the majority of the 32 that was granted the request received the information within 14 days, and in the formats they requested, 1/3 of them indicated that they were not satisfied with their responses. Now, they cited incomplete information as reasons for their dissatisfaction, while their efforts to engage to get outstanding information proved futile. According to the report, in the remaining 18 requests, access was not granted. The researchers classified the group that was refused access under 2 categories. In the first instance of the first group, 14, that's 54%, the public institutions involved refused access as they never communicated to the applicants many months after those applications were made. Interestingly, none of the applicants in this same category appealed the decision, says the report. Now, in the second category, where 4 requests were made, the public institutions wrote to the applicants within the 14-day period prescribed by law, making unlawful demands of applicants and or citing contestable reasons why they cannot provide the information sought. Now, how has the state been responding to these findings? In fact, Corruption Watch has learned that in the past week, the presidency has set aside funds outside of the RTI Commission's budget for the office accommodation of the Right to Information Commission. The caveat, however, is the search for suitable accommodation is still ongoing. Meanwhile, the RTI Commission issued a test statement on 6th May 2021 urging public institutions to supply data on requests for information that they received and how they treated the request. In the statement, the RTI Commission extended the deadline for the supply of the reports to 7th June 2021. And the RTI Act provides that public institutions are to submit their annual reports within the first 60 days of every year.
Wow. Okay, well, let's get into the conversation. Let's welcome our guests to Anti-Corruption School, and they are, of course, Mrs. Elizabeth Asari, who's the Deputy Chairperson of the Right to Information Commission. It's nice to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Mrs. Asari is here with Mr. Yao Sapong Boating, who's the Executive Secretary of the Right to Information Commission. Mr. Boating, what a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me too. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Zakaria Tanko joins us over the phone. Zakaria Tanko Musa is a private legal practitioner. He's a lecturer as well and a member of the Right to Information Coalition, Ghana. Mr. Tanko, good morning. Do we have Mr. Zakaria Tanko Musa on the line? Right, we're working to connect to Mr. Tanko Musa. All right. Now, I think before we even get into the conversation, it's worth acknowledging that the RTI Commission has had to work with some very limited resources under some very restrictive conditions. Not having an office, I can't even imagine how that affects the work that you have to do. So that must be acknowledged from the onset. But this report, of course, highlights some things that we do need to drill into to understand what the real issues are. So, I mean, to begin with, some people actually believe that the Commission has been, well, out of sight, since the enforcement of the law began. What have you been up to?
Yes.
You want to start?
Okay, so I'll take it.
Okay.
The Commission has been working effectively in the background. We have not sat back to say that because we do not have an office, we will fold our arms and complain. But like you indicated, we have come up with a few statements here and there to court public compliance and to also direct on matters of fees and charges. The Commission had to, the Commission was actually sworn into office, the board of the Commission, on the 19th of October 2020. At the time of swearing in, there was no budgetary provision for the Commission. So we have been working with the assistance of the Information Ministry and then on our own efforts as well. And I believe that the members of the Commission are more committed to this cause than any choice the appointing authority could have made. I want to say thank you to all the members of the Commission. We have been able to put together a budget with that short period. We submitted our budget to Parliament, to the Ministry of Finance through to Parliament. We got approval. Eventually funds have been released and we have undergone some training on the government system, which they refer to as the GIFMIS, to be able to access all that. You know how public funding and how you spend public monies, you need to go through procedure. That aside, we have also taken steps to engage civil society organizations. The Right to Information Coalition has been very instrumental in some engagements with us. We have written to the general public, written to institutions of higher learning to come up with proposals for putting together a legislative instrument that will guide the implementation of the law. We want to make sure that when we put together an LI, which is more or less the regulations, it encompasses all concerns of the media, of institutions of higher learning, of civil society organizations, so that it's regulations we have all agreed on, and therefore when we are implementing it, we will go together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the major things that we have done so far. The governing board of the commission has met over 10 times in general meetings and subcommittee meetings. So we have been doing all of that. We have also been in engagement with the Ministry of Information on our consultation in putting together public institutional manuals on information concerning information manuals. The public institutions are mandated by the law to provide. So I think on the top of my memory, this is briefly some of the things that we have been engaged in.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Now,
Let me
sure.
let me just say that I think Yao has been a little too nice when he says that we put out a budget and the budget was approved. Let me say that we were expecting a foundational budget, something that will help us roll out RTI to the full. What we were given is woefully inadequate. It doesn't mean that we won't work with it. We'll work with it, but we are hoping that in the course of rolling out the RTI, more funds would be available, because there's a lot of work to be done. Knowing that this is the foundation and that foundation needs to be strong, we need to be giving all the support and all the assistance.
That's an important point. Now, for the benefit of those who are listening and who may not have spent the time reading the law and understanding the provisions and the purpose of the commission, help us to understand. Are you meant to be sort of like a regulator, so that if there are any issues in people's access to information, then you would step in and correct? Or are you the source of information? Do we apply to you when we want information from the state? How does it work? What does the commission actually, what's your role?
We are not the source of the information. The public institutions are. So we are mandated to ensure that the institutions give out the relevant information to the public. So there's supposed to be information units in all public institutions where people can go and request information. And when they go and they do not have the information, then they can apply to us, and then we would take it up from there. So the first step is to go to the main source, which is the institution, and then from there, if they continue and they still do not get the information and they think that they still need to get the information, then they can come to us.
So if I may add.
Yes, go
So
ahead.
to the extent that we are a public institution too,
Yeah.
we will be a source of information.
For
So
that,
that if
okay.
anyone
On that
requires
level,
information from our institution, then we are also expected to provide that information.
Great. And you say you were established when?
So the commission was actually established with the passing into law of this act.
Right.
But we were actually appointed as the governing board of the institution on the 19th of October 2020. And as you are well aware, the implementation of the law was deferred to 2020, even though it was passed in
2019.
May 2019.
So over the period, I mean, you've talked about the governing board, and so let me understand a few things. When the law's implementation began, since it began, what's been the role of the commission? What has the commission done all this well?
So, first of all, the commission needs to establish its organizational structures. And if you understand how the public system operates, you need to engage with, for instance, the Public Service Commission to help guide the structures that you are to have as a unit of a public institution. You also require, for instance, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to help you come up with a program of recruitment and a program of creating compensation packages for the line of employees that you wish to recruit. So all these things have been done in the background. We've also engaged the Ministry of Finance to the extent of budgets, and then we have also been in some committees to try and find appropriate accommodation for our office. So there's a lot of things going on in the background. We have some support staff who have been very efficient in helping us run to this date, but it's all on a temporary basis as we are yet to
Okay, so
take
I'm just curious
advantage.
in something, because the board, and I'm looking at the right to information law,
Okay.
and it says that the board shall ensure the proper and effective performance of the functions of the commission. Now, you were established in October 2020. The law took effect in January 2020. Prior to the establishment of the governing board, how was the commission performing, and who was ensuring the effective performance of the functions of the commission?
So the implementation of the law has been in different phases. The Ministry of Information, together with public institutions, rolled out an implementation plan that ensured that they had to prepare public institutions ready for the implementation proper of the law. So if you recall, the Ministry of Information, through the Access to Information Office at the ministry, engaged some assistant right to information officers, which who have been deployed to majority of public institutions that required these officers. Now they have trained such officers with this law so that it makes it easier when applicants come on board to request information under this act. So, I mean, that was part of the roadmap to the implementation. I think that obviously, COVID was one of the reasons why the governing board had to come into place sometime in late.
How did COVID affect the setting up of a governing board?
Well, COVID affected the
Is
budget.
that
as I
what you were
understand
told,
it.
or that's what you are?
Was that how did you
I-
experience what impediments did you experience because of COVID?
Well, I believe that COVID, not as a commission, but if you would consider the way in which COVID threw the plans of government in the year 2020, you can understand how come the commission probably was set up in the late part of the year.
So yeah, you are the executive secretary of the
I am,
commission.
yes.
When were you appointed?
I was appointed on the 19th of October 2020.
Oh, okay.
So that's the last quarter of the year 2020.
So prior to your appointment as executive secretary of the commission, who was in charge of the commission?
So the commission had been established
But
by
who
law,
was in charge?
but there was nobody in charge.
So it was not functional.
It was not functional.
That's what I want.
Okay.
So it means
That's what
over
I
the
thought.
period, if anybody had a concern, the commissioner that was supposed to be the ombudsman was non-existent.
Was
No.
non-existent. Yeah, sure.
So now the commission is now being established.
Established.
And that's
Okay.
why we need to take all those steps.
So let's look forward now. How prepared are you to deliver on your mandate right now as we speak?
Well, so the mandate would first be to understand what the mandate is. I think the law under Section 41 has put together the objects of the commission. And it requires the commission to promote, to monitor, to protect, and to enforce the right to information guaranteed under the Constitution.
Right.
So under this, it defines functions for the commission. I believe that even as we sit here, is an effort to promote the law and to engage the public to understand what this law is about. So we will take advantage of every effort by the media to help this cause. That aside, we, like I indicated, we are trying to put together the LI as mandated by the law to provide regulations for executing this law.
Right.
Yeah, when that comes into place, it will even make it clearer how people can employ the law to access that right under the Constitution. Yeah. So we are putting in place structures, and we are not sleeping as the absence of an office may indicate, but we are really working in the background.
Okay.
The Ministry of Information under the law is required to be in consultation with us to set the agenda for the LI. They have since written to us. We are working on that.
Okay, I mean, we wouldn't presume at all that you're not doing any work. What we want really is a sort of a situation report, if you like.
Yes.
So,
Yes, so-
what we understand, forgive me,
No, just finish.
what we understand from what you've explained so far is that you've been appointed just at the end of last year.
Sure.
The structures are not yet fully in place. You don't yet have your staff. You don't yet have an LI. So what are you able to do if called upon? Of all the mandates that your law gives you, which ones are you able to carry out in your current state?
Yeah. So in our current state, we are able to function, except that the rules may not be clear, but we are able to carry out all the functions as set out under the law. We have since never received any complaint of a refusal that requires an appeal or something to be looked at by the Commission. Other than that, the Commission has also taken steps to engage experts in arbitration, conciliation, ADR mechanisms to see how we can resolve disputes that arise out of applications under the law.
But more than half of the applications you don't even respond to.
No, but
We have not received.
but we do not receive applications,
Right.
if you'd recall.
Okay, let me
So the
correct
commission-
that. So more than half of the applications that have been made to public institutions have not been responded to, but the commission has not been called in to deal with them.
We have not been called in,
Right.
unfortunately. So
if
maybe
you are
we'll
called
use
in-
this platform to encourage applicants to call on the commission to be able to resolve some of these problems
But what will you
that
be
they
able to
encounter.
do right now? If someone calls on you today, any of these people who have not got a response,
So-
they call you today, what can you do?
So the law provides a basis for resolving such disputes.
Right.
Yeah. So the powers that have been given to the commission, when such problems come up, the commission will apply it and be
Okay.
able to come to some solutions for these applicants.
Let's take an example. So somebody has applied for information from the police, they haven't got it, so they bring you an application today. What process will you take it through with the limits of your current situation?
We have been operating from the Electronic Communication Tribunal,
Okay.
which is more or less some offer that we had from the then chairman of the Communications Tribunal, Mr. Kisia Jabin.
Okay.
He offered us the use of his place for our activities. So we readily have space available to engage any group of people, any applicant who wants to be heard on a refusal. Yes, and we have the power to resolve every refusal. So we are readily available to engage any. Yeah, we also put out our email address in our statements that we have previously issued, that persons who even have complaints do not necessarily have to come to the commission. They can send that complaint. We'll try and resolve it remotely in that
Okay.
process. So we have made ourselves available to the public.
So, in terms of getting an office, what's the state of affairs there? I mean, do you have a budget for this? How much is provided, and how far along are you in
Yeah,
achieving
so budget was approved sometime late March.
that? Yeah.
So yes, we do have a budget, but the office of the president, under the supervision of the chief of staff, has magnanimously come to our aid by providing us funds out of the budget of aside the budget of the Information Commission. Yes, to actually procure an office. Yeah, in fact, we had almost secured an office, and then the landlord disappointed us. Because when our funds were ready, he had let out the property to someone else. So we are in the process of getting a more suitable accommodation where we can receive all public institutions and all the public at large.
How about recruitment?
It's not all doom and gloom. We have a functioning secretariat. Even though we do not have full staff, we do have a skeletal staff that are working for the commission. And that is the secretariat for RTIC as we speak now. I think there's a staff of 7 or 8, but they're always on the move and they're always working hard. And let me say that the executive secretary has moved way ahead of what we expected, even as a governing board. And we need a lot of logistics. And we believe that when we have that, then we'll be able to roll out smoothly. Now that the budget is in place, we are in the process of acquiring the basic things that we need to be able to function. And when we start that, when we get that, I'm sure we'll be able to roll.
So talking about staff, let me just find out, for the office to be fully operational, how many staff would you need?
Okay, so we have, as a board, considered how well we can reach the public at every point in Ghana.
Okay.
We are looking at having a head office based in Accra and eventually having some zonal offices, which will now become regional offices when we have the funding to establish regional offices. And then in the long term, look at district offices. So we are looking at the best possible way to reach the citizenry at the remotest level. Now, beyond that, even before that comes into place, we will be engaging digitally in terms of trying to resolve complaints through the internet, how they will file complaints and all that. So we will make arrangements until that comes into place. So for the establishment ceiling, which we are still in engagements with the Public Service Organization, the Public Service Commission, we are looking to employ across the country in the long term some about 406 staff.
And you currently have 7.
Yeah, about 8. Yes,
About 8 of them.
Yes.
398 to go.
Yes.
Yes. But we need to follow due process. To fit into the public service structure, and then we need to also engage qualified people to be able to work effectively.
So currently you're understaffed.
Currently, we don't even have staff.
well, the deputy chairperson says you don't even have staff.
We don't even have staff. Exactly.
Yes, so
Exactly.
and that's a serious issue because this is a law passed in 2019 January, deferred till 2020 for implementation, and the 1 year was supposed to give us enough time
To do all this.
to do all the things we expected to do. Now, within that 1 year, we did not set up a commission. We set up the commission after that 1 year. Clearly,
Almost a year after
yes,
that one.
clearly, I wouldn't be wrong to say this whole right to information law and its implementation, it's been a hoax, hasn't it?
No, I disagree with you. I think that is far-fetched. Because like I said, there has been an implementation plan for this law, RTI law. It is not, the commission alone does not form the main aspect of the law.
But it would have been critical to the implementation of the law from day one last year. So it ought to have been set up before.
Yeah.
In the time that was granted, that government insisted on to put things in place.
Yeah, so
This should have been done, right?
Well, I mean, you may debate that. You may debate that.
Do you disagree?
But, well, I think that the angle from which it was implemented was also important because you needed to make the public institutions aware of this law before you even bring in a regulator to come and check what they are doing. So the implementation plan considered the fact that what efforts are we doing to make sure every public institution puts in place a right to information office that meets the requirements.
Was that not
of the
considered
law.
in the 1 year? So the 1 year, we say we're doing everything, it takes off in a year. Shouldn't we have done all of that? Wasn't that considered?
I cannot be making excuses for government. But
Great,
I'm saying
great.
that-
And that's why
I'm saying that you should also consider the fact that the implementation is broader than just setting up the commission. That is all I want to draw.
Let me
your
just
attention.
say this because the convener for the Media Coalition against Galamsey, Ken Ashigbe, says, look, The Media Coalition wrote to the Forestry Commission for information on Heritage Imperial's forest entry. After several months, we've had no success. We've also written a reminder to no avail.
So
Now that we're discussing this, I'm sure Ken is listening. He's going to get to you, and once he gets to you, what happens?
So I will encourage Ken to take advantage of the processes under the law to seek redress. So there are two steps. If you are refused information at the level of the information officer at every public institution, you can seek internal review at the level of the head of institution. And if that is refused, then you can come to the commission where we will look at it. We have powers to actually go onto the premises of the public institution and inspect the information you are seeking. So, I mean, he should take advantage of the law. We will be able to bring a resolution to that.
Now, I mean, bearing in mind that more than 60% of the public institutions didn't even respond to those who were requesting the information. I mean, that might be an indication to some people that even the 1 year before the implementation of the law, which you would have hoped was used to sensitize institutions, even that didn't work. But I mean, tell us about the process for requesting and delivering, or even refusing, a piece of information under the law.
Yeah.
It's good that you actually have the law with you, so you can refer to it for us.
Okay, so you apply for the law, you apply for information, and you're given 14 days, and you're supposed to get a response. If you do not get a response, then you're supposed to
So if you do not get a response within the specified time, then it may be deemed that it has been refused.
Oh, okay.
So you are required to be provided the information within 14 days. If you do not get it within 14 days, like in the case of Ken, then you are deemed to have been refused. Therefore, you can activate the process of appeal.
Right.
On the refusal. Yeah. Now, refusal itself is not against the law, except that it should also be done within the law. So it is not all information that you request that you are entitled to receive. If you go under the law, there are some exempt information, and I'll encourage, it's quite voluminous. I encourage the public and the citizenry to take advantage of our social media platforms, because we try to do some education and try to simplify the processes for them to be able to engage public institutions.
Okay.
Yes.
What I wanted to say was that within the 14 days, if you apply and you're not giving information, then you can go a step higher to the head of the institution. And then when you do not get any response from there also, then you can deem that you have been refused the information, and then you appeal. And then when you appeal, it will be addressed. There's some steps that you need to take when you're refused. It says that when you apply for the information, you don't need to give any reasons why you're applying for the information. It is your right to have the information. But like he said, there are some exemptions, but it should be corresponded to you. So if it's not told you, if nothing is communicated to you, then you deem that you've been refused the information.
Right. Okay. Now, you've already explained that you haven't actually received any applications yet. And you've walked us through the process you will take an application through if you receive one. Let's talk about sanctions. If you determine that an institution has breached the law or, broken the law, what sanctions are available in such instances?
Okay. So the law requires the commission to levy administrative penalties to public institutions that fail to comply with the law. Now, the law also creates offenses that if persons, I think if I can crave your indulgence to read this with your platform.
Sure.
So these are some of the offenses that the law creates.
Please don't
So, offenses of disclosure of exempt information. A person who willfully discloses information which is exempt from disclosure under this act commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 250 penalty units and not more than 500 penalty units, or a term of imprisonment of not less than 6 months and not more than 3 years, or to both. And then other offenses. It says a failure or neglect by an information officer or other public officer to perform a function authorized by this act where the occasion arises to perform that function constitutes gross misconduct. Then 2, a person who seeks or gains access to personal record of another person under false pretenses commits an offense. Willfully makes a false statement, to mislead any other person in order to gain access or to gain access to information, or with the intent to deny the right to information, destroys, damages, alters, or conceals a document, or makes a false entry in a document, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not less than 250 penalty units and not more than 500 penalty units, or to a term of imprisonment of not less than 1 year and not more than 3 years, or to both the fine and the term of imprisonment.
Right.
Now, what we are seeking to procure eventually is where the Attorney General may look at an option of ceding some of its prosecutorial powers to the Commission so that we are able to prosecute some of these offenses effectively at the Commission's level. Yeah, that way we can ensure more compliance. So we are hoping that when we get the LI in place, we can also request the Attorney General's office to, as SNET, for instance, has been given that power, cede some of that power to the Commission to ensure more transparency in our public discourse.
Okay. All right. So we also have on the phone line Mr. Zakaria Tanko Musa, who, of course, is joining us in his capacity as a member of the Right to Information Coalition Ghana. He's also a private legal practitioner and a lecturer. But just before Mr. Tanko comes in, let me remind you that as this, by the way, let's just say good morning to Mr. Tanko. You've been on the line for quite a while. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Kojo and Wilson. I have been
excellent.
enjoying the interaction.
Yes, thanks for your patience. We'll be hearing from you momentarily. But as the saying goes, show me your friend and I'll show you your character, right? Well, Uber is saying, show me 5 driver friends and I'll show you 1,000 Ghana cedis. All active drivers get 200 Ghana cedis for every person they refer to start driving with Uber. So if you're a driver and you refer 5 drivers to Uber, you get $1,000. This is a great earning opportunity for that friend or family member on a safe platform like Uber. So refer a driver to Uber today and cash out. Check in app for your referral code. The only WhatsApp is 020-9722-703, okay, or 020-9722-660. WhatsApp is the only way to do this, and you can get started or put your vehicles on Uber. Go to partners.uber.com.
Well, keep your thoughts coming in and text messages on the Super Morning Show, brought to us by Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GSIP. GSIP, it's in your best interest to survive. And at Glyco Life, we believe this is the time to protect your future with our life insurance policies, and our products are designed to offer you peace of mind, especially in this COVID-19 era. And so, to our policyholders, your claims are very important to us, and we're advising you to visit our offices or the Glyco Life website, glycolife.com, to lodge your claims for prompt service. We're surviving COVID-19 together, so please pay your premiums via your chosen mode of payment or by Momo on 0591-441473 or by e-premium for micro insurance to safeguard your policies. Our call center team is ready to support you, so call us on 0202-222-113 for assistance or visit us via our digital channels. We care for your safety, so all our offices are implementing the Ghana Health Services recommended COVID-19 protocols. Please practice social distancing, keep safe, and trust Glyco Life to cushion you for life.
All right, now Johannesburg is the other city that doesn't sleep, the heartbeat of South Africa, built by dreams and ambitions. This city will invite you to experience its rich history. But Joburg is not only history, it's Amapiano. It's the richest square mile in Africa. It's the bustling of the taxis taking you to Soweto for a chisanyama. This city was made to wake up, shop, dance, and do it all over again. You can revel in the high life in Johannesburg for 5 nights from as little as 8,200 Ghana cedis, including flights, transfers, and meals. Terms and conditions apply, of course. Make Johannesburg your personal playground to feel the energy of the dream chasers. For this and more Easter deals, go to southafrica.net. South Africa, come journey with us. Right, Mr. Zachariah Tanko, again, thanks for your patience. First of all, I mean, let me pick your general thoughts on the state of implementation of the Right to Information Law.
Well, Kojo and Wilson, thank you once again for having me, and I think I was enjoying the interactions. And you rightly pointed out that after the implementation, after the law was passed, we delayed it by 1 year just so we can put our house together and get these things effectively and efficiently implemented. Unfortunately, despite all those leeway that was provided, I think we are still at the seeding stage. But I must add that when you look across various jurisdictions and jurisdictions that have the RTI law, this thing is consistent with all these jurisdictions when it comes to the implementation of the RTI. So you would find a situation where the law would be passed and the institutions are just not ready. The commission, it would take a long time to establish the commission, and when they are even established, they will still be struggling in terms of infrastructure, in terms of capacity building, and even in terms of trying to even appreciate their mandate and how to execute those mandates. And I think that I'm seeing that here as well. But one of the things that I think I am a little bit worried about is the fact that, yes, we are happy that the government is committing to providing resources to the commission to start its work effectively and efficiently, but the capacity of the commission to hit the ground running is still lacking, and that is worrying because, as you indicated in your question, you realize that the commission has a big role to play in all this, and that role cannot be played when you don't have the requisite personnel to do that job. So there are problems from the demand side. In other words, people who will be requesting for that information. And even from the demand side, the commission has a role to play in terms of the awareness creation. And for me, what I see is that there is very low awareness creation. Awareness out there is very low. And apart from it being very low, there is also the issue of the quality of awareness that is being created out there. That is a problem. And then from the supply side, which is the institutions that have to be supplying it, they themselves, interestingly, have very low awareness of the RTI law. I have personally actually tested the implementation using my students, and clearly some institutions really have no clue what to do when the information is requested from them and all those things. So there is that. And then clearly from what the executive secretary and I think the deputy chairperson was saying, from the commission's end as well, they have their own challenges as well, which has to do with capacity and even the issue of infrastructure. Because if you look at the framework, the architecture of the Right to Information law, when people demand information, sometimes it will require maybe photocopying, it would require you having to retrieve information and all those things. And it will require some level of infrastructure, and I think that is also lacking there. So, I mean, there are broad issues that have still not been resolved. But for me, I think that the most important thing is the fact that now we have the commission in place. The burden of responsibility would definitely shift to the commission, and the commission would have to hit the ground running.
So this DW Academy report, do you think the findings might affect people's level of confidence in the, in accessing and making use of this law?
Well, it's a mixed. It's a mixed sort of reaction to that question. It's a mixed reaction because yes, if you look at the sampling, the sample size of that report, you would say that it's a very low sample size, and therefore we need to be very careful not to make that more reflective. But there again, it is consistent with the early stages of the implementation of RTI all over, where you realize that people who apply do not necessarily get the response they need. And that can affect people's confidence going forward. Because remember, in the first place, the awareness is very low. And because the awareness is very low, when you have a few people applying and they are not getting what they require, then it makes people feel, then what is the point in having to go through this process, especially when this is a new territory that we are about going in. And so, yes, it has the tendency to make people really lose interest. But when you look at the level, the category of institutions or people who apply for the information, and you look at journalists, you look at CSOs, these are not people that, such things can actually derail or discourage. But then again, Kojo, there is a worrying trend there because, prior to the passage of the Right to Information Law, I had always been worried that the impression was created that it is a law meant for journalists, when it isn't. When you look at the architecture and the framework of the Right to Information Law, it is mainly to empower citizens. To empower citizens, and by empowering them through getting access to information, which is a national resource, they will then be able to hold duty bearers accountable. And through that, the issue of trying to fight corruption, which is becoming very, very insidious, would be dealt with. So it is not really meant for journalists. But when you look at that report, the report says that invariably the people who actually apply, the majority of the people who are using the law at this stage are journalists and CSOs. It's not a bad thing, it is good, but I really think we should up our game in terms of raising awareness so that the public, the general public, know that this law is for all of us, and we can use that law to actually empower ourselves, make sure we are holding duty bearers accountable. Of course, journalists would always use it to enhance their work in their exposure of wrongdoing and all these things. But I think that, by and large, yes, when you look at the general public, it may affect their confidence, but I don't think it would affect the confidence of the established institutions like the journalists and then the CSOs and all that.
Right. I wish we had a bit more time, but I'm told we don't. We've actually run out. But I want to thank all of you, Zakaria Tanko Musa, who is a private legal practitioner, lecturer, and member of the Right to Information Coalition. And from the Right to Information Commission, Mrs. Elizabeth Asari, Deputy Chairperson, and Mr. Yao Sapong Boating, Executive Secretary. Thank you all so much for making the time to be with us. We appreciate it ever so much. Listen, Corruption Watch wants you to feel empowered, to be a part of the process, part of the fight. So look, in our own small way, we can all help in the fight against corruption. So please reach out to us. The hotline is 055 22 00033, or send a WhatsApp to the same number. Our partners, as always, the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, GACC, Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, ASILA, and multimedia platforms, Joy FM and Adum FM. Corruption Watch is sponsored by Danida. We're back after these.
Syndicated Capital introduces the Silent Night range of luxury mattresses and pillows. And for the first time, the Silent Night pregnancy and nursing pillows, crafted to provide exceptional relief for your legs, belly, and back during pregnancy, as well as amazing